So welcome to the deep dive. We know you're curious about learning Python, and today we're diving into a way to make that journey maybe not just effective, but actually, enjoyable.
Yeah, fun even.
Exactly. We're looking at this idea of gamification, how adding game elements can seriously, well, level up your coding adventure.
That's the plan. And we've gathered quite a bit for you, perspectives from Reddit, real user experiences, info on platforms like CodeCombat, CheckiO,
Oh, okay.
plus some of the research on why this gamified learning stuff actually works. And of course, a list of good free resources too.
Right. So the mission today for you listening is really to get a clean picture of how games or game-like stuff can make learning Python work better, keep you going, and maybe feel a bit less daunting.
And point you towards some actual tools you can check out.
Okay, let's start with this term gamification. What does that really mean when we're talking about learning code, like Python?
Well, think about games you play. You do stuff, you get points, maybe you unlock levels or get badges, right?
Yeah, sure. Achievements, progress bars.
Exactly. So gamification in learning just takes those kinds of things, the points, the challenges, the feeling of moving forward, maybe even a storyline, and puts them into a context that isn't a game, like learning Python.
So instead of just reading a textbook page.
Right. You might be solving a coding puzzle to, say, earn a virtual badge, or maybe competing on a leaderboard to
Yeah.
solve a problem the fastest.
Yeah.
It taps into that basic human drive for accomplishment, makes it more engaging.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Making it more active, more rewarding. It definitely sounds better than just, staring at lines of code trying to make sense of it all.
It does.
So what's the actual impact? Does this fun approach really help you learn and remember Python better?
Well, the evidence suggests it really can. Some studies point to potentially big boosts in engagement, maybe even up to 60% in some cases.
60%. Wow.
Yeah. Think about it. Games are designed to keep you playing. So applying those same ideas can make learning feel less like homework and more like, well, something you actually want to do.
That makes sense.
And when you frame coding problems as puzzles, like in a game, it can really sharpen your problem-solving skills. You're not just memorizing commands. You're figuring out how to use them to solve something specific.
And the feedback loop, I imagine that's quicker than in a traditional class.
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge plus.
Yeah.
In a lot of these gamified platforms, you type your code, you run it, and boom, instant feedback.
Right away.
Yeah. It tells you if it worked, maybe gives you hints if it didn't. That quick cycle is incredibly valuable. You fix mistakes fast. You reinforce the right way immediately. It's almost like having a tutor right there.
Instant feedback definitely beats waiting for grades. What else makes gamification work well for learning code?
Well, many platforms offer sort of personalized paths. They see how you're doing and give you challenges that are, just right. Not too easy, not impossibly hard.
Keeps you in that sweet spot.
Exactly. And I think this is really important. It can change how you feel about making mistakes. In a game, you fail a level, you just try again, right? It's expected.
Yeah, no big deal.
So gamification can kind of reframe errors as just part of learning, not some big failure. That helps lower the anxiety, especially with something technical like coding. And lots of these platforms have communities too, so you can learn with and from others.
That all sounds like it tackles that I'm totally overwhelmed feeling head on. Okay, so where can people actually find these kinds of gamified Python experiences? Let's get into specifics.
Yeah, let's do it. There are some really great ones. First up, maybe CodeCombat.
Okay.
It's free, aimed generally at ages 9 and up. The cool thing about CodeCombat is it's very story-driven. You learn Python, or JavaScript, by writing actual code to control a hero in a game world.
Like an RPG, but with code?
Sort of, yeah. You don't need any coding background to start. It really guides you from the basics writing code to make your character move, attack, collect stuff. It introduces concepts like variables, loops, very naturally within the game's quest.
Okay, navigating a fantasy world with Python sounds way more fun than just reading about syntax. What's another one?
Then there's CheckiO, also free, maybe geared slightly older, like 12 plus.
Mm.
CheckiO is more about interactive challenges, maybe a bit more competitive.
How so?
It has a strong community aspect. You solve Python puzzles, but then you can also see how other people solve the same puzzle. That's super useful for learning different ways to approach things.
Yeah, seeing other solutions. I like that.
Yeah. It's probably best if you have maybe a tiny bit of Python knowledge starting out as the difficulty ramps up. But it's used in like over 100 schools and universities.
100. Wow.
Yeah, they even have features for classrooms. And some companies actually use CheckiO challenges for hiring.
Interesting. So it scales from learning basics right up to proving your skills. Okay, what else?
Codewars,
Mhm.
free again, maybe 13 and up. This one has a whole martial arts theme.
Martial arts.
Yeah, the coding problems are called kata, like karate forms. It's very community-focused, lots of collaboration. And it covers a huge range of difficulty, so beginners can definitely find kata to start with. You earn ranks, badges as you solve them. There are leaderboards. It feels competitive but friendly. And again, after you solve a kata, you can study other people's solutions. Great way to pick up new tricks.
A coding dojo. I like the theme. What about for the really young learners? Complete
Right.
beginners.
For maybe ages 7 to 10, Blockly Games is a good starting point. It's free from Google. It uses visual blocks, drag and drop.
Ah, like Scratch.
Similar idea, yeah. The games themselves use JavaScript underneath, but the logic, the problem solving, the sequencing, that's all directly transferable to Python later. It's a very gentle intro, gets kids thinking like programmers without worrying about typing syntax perfectly right away.
Building that foundation first. Makes sense. Any other platforms worth mentioning? There seem to be quite a few.
Oh, yeah. For teens and up, CodinGame is another really solid one. It mixes playing actual games with learning Python skills. Challenges for all levels, very game-like experience. Then there's something called Create and Learn's Python AI Coach Adventure. This one's interesting. It's free if you're in their Python for AI course, otherwise a small subscription. It uses an AI coach based on ChatGPT tech.
An AI coach. Seriously.
Yeah. It guides you through syntax challenges, helps you build an animation project, adds new stuff monthly. It really encourages you to experiment with the AI providing feedback.
Wow, an AI coding buddy. That's pretty cutting edge. What else?
Let's see. Coasters Basketball. Free platform. You learn Python basics by making your own basketball game.
Fun.
Yeah, you work with sprites, scoreboards, stuff like that. It's a self-guided tutorial. Takes maybe an hour. Recommended for middle school and up. And create your own PSA from ID Tech Kids. Use Python to make a public service announcement animation about a cause they choose.
Coding for a cause. That's great motivation.
Definitely. Two others quickly. Project Euler. Not exactly a game, but it's got tons of challenging math and computational problems that require programming, often Python, to solve. Excellent for honing problem solving.
Right, more logic puzzles.
Exactly. And HackerRank. We mentioned it briefly, but besides general challenges and competitions, they have a specific 30-day coding challenge, which is great for building that daily coding habit.
Okay, that's a really wide range of options. Lots of free choices too. But what if someone doesn't want to commit to a whole platform? Can you sort of gamify your own learning?
Absolutely. You definitely can. It doesn't have to be a fancy platform. You could just set personal challenges for yourself.
Like what?
Like, if I finish this chapter in my Python book, I'll reward myself with
Yeah.
whatever you enjoy. Or commit to solving, say, 3 problems on Codewars each week. Make your own little reward system.
Okay, setting mini goals and rewards.
Yeah. Even just participating on those challenge sites is a form of gamification. And contributing to communities like GitHub or Stack Overflow, getting your code accepted or your answer upvoted, that feels like a win, right? That's social gamification in a way.
Yeah, that sense of contribution and recognition.
And simply tracking your progress visually. A checklist, maybe a progress bar you fill in that gives you that satisfying feeling of leveling up. Oh, and hackathons. Those intense coding events are pure gamification, time pressure, challenge, collaboration, prizes.
Right. So you can definitely build these elements in yourself. Make it active, goal-oriented, rewarding. Okay, switching gears slightly. There was a really interesting point we found about the learning journey itself.
Yes, that Reddit comment, comparing learning a language like Python to learning to read and write.
Okay. How did that go?
Well, the idea, you start with letters and words, right? Then you learn to make sentences, then paragraphs. Eventually, you can write whole books.
Makes sense.
So the point was doing small coding challenges like on Codewars or LeetCode that's like practicing writing good sentences. It's essential. You need that skill.
But it's not the whole story.
Exactly. To really get good, to become, as the person put it, a code author, you have to move beyond just the sentences. You need to start writing paragraphs, chapters, building larger, more complex projects.
I see. So the gamified platforms are great for practicing those fundamental sentence skills, but you need to eventually tackle bigger things to truly become proficient.
Precisely. Those small challenges build your fluency with the basics. But building a real application, something bigger, that forces you to think about structure, integrate different parts, debug complex interactions. That's writing the chapters and books That's where the deep learning happens.
That's a really valuable distinction. Don't just stay at the sentence level. Okay. So besides all these gamified tools and approaches, what about more traditional, maybe less game-like free resources for learning Python?
Oh, there's a ton of fantastic free stuff out there, too. A classic is Automate the Boring Stuff with Python by Al Swigart. The whole book is free online.
Heard good things about that one.
It's great. Then you've got university-level courses available for free. Harvard's CS50P Introduction to Python on edX.
The CS50 courses are famous.
They are. University of Helsinki also has a really thorough free online Python course on MOOC. MIT OpenCourseWare has their Intro to CS with Python materials online too. And of course, the official Python documentation and tutorial on python.org, invaluable and free.
So plenty of high-quality structured learning available at no cost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And other places too. W3 Schools has interactive Python tutorials. SoloLearn has a free tier with lots of coding courses. And YouTube. So many great channels.
Any specific YouTube recommendations?
Well, people often mention Corey Schaefer, Tech with Tim, CodeBro, Caleb Curry. Lots of dedicated teachers putting out great Python content for free. Also, Runestone Academy has a free interactive online book called How to Think Like a Computer Scientist Using Python.
Okay, so really, no shortage of options, gamified or traditional, free or paid. There's something for everyone's style.
Definitely.
All right, this has been a fantastic exploration of making Python learning more engaging. If we were to boil it all down, what's the main takeaway for our listener?
I think the core idea is that gamification isn't just a gimmick. It can be a genuinely powerful way to learn something like Python, using those game elements, whether it's through a dedicated platform or just setting your own challenges. It can make the process more fun, keep you motivated, and actually improve how well you learn.
And we've seen there's a huge variety out there. Full-on game worlds, competitive challenges, AI coaches, or just simple techniques you can apply yourself.
Exactly. There's a lot to choose from.
So maybe the final thought for you, the listener, is to consider which of these approaches clicks with your way of learning. Could making coding feel more like a game be the thing that unlocks it for you? Could it turn learning Python from maybe a chore into, well, an actual adventure? What's the first challenge maybe on one of these platforms you feel ready to tackle?